The notification tone from my laptop was too cheerful for what it delivered. Team huddle in 5. Rick's message flashed across the corner of my screen. Nothing unusual about that, except it was Friday morning, 58 a.m., and I hadn't even finished reviewing the security logs from last night's system patch. Usually, our huddles were reserved for good news. Product launches, client renewals, someone's birthday. But that day, as I joined the call, I saw 40 faces already waiting, more than I'd ever seen in one virtual meeting. Even HR was there, even legal. Something inside me stilled. "Morning, everyone," Rick said, his camera perfectly framed. He looked like someone who practiced sincerity in the mirror. Behind him, his office was spotless. White shelves, chrome desk, a neatly positioned corporate banner that read, "Corvex Analytics, Data Never Lies." He smiled that brand-approved smile. Before we begin, I want to address some recent concerns about workflow consistency in our security division. My cursor hovered over leave meeting. Something in his tone said this wasn't our division anymore, and then it came. Rachel will be taking a step back for a while to focus on documentation and training from home, Rick continued. We've had reports of inconsistencies in her recent deliverables. Nothing disciplinary, just a necessary adjustment. I heard my name drop into silence like a metal bolt into a drain. 40 faces, colleagues, clients, juniors, stared back from their rectangles. A few mouthed, "What the hell?" Most went still. I blinked once. "I'm sorry?" I asked. "Inconsistencies?" Rick didn't even flinch. "We'll discuss one-on-one later. For now, let's keep this constructive." He pivoted effortlessly into budget updates while my chest burned cold. No one interrupted. That's how corporate executions happen. Not with shouting, but with PowerPoint. When the meeting ended, I sat motionless. My reflection hovered in the dark screen. Sharp eyes, chapped lips, hair tied back after a 40-hour workweek. I'm Rachel Pierce, 38 Data Security Manager. For 8 years, I'd protected this company from breaches, leaks, sabotage, and from everything but itself. Now, apparently, I was the problem. My Slack pinged, "Jordan, SecOps. WTH is this?" He told finance you'd missed 2 deadlines. Me? I didn't. Jordan, I know. Hold tight. He's been grooming Lydia, 24, his niece. Marketing degree. The one who'd asked me last month what a firewall was. I closed my laptop gently, as if it were alive. My reflection lingered in the black screen. "You just gave the wrong woman free time," I said softly. Monday morning. My badge didn't work. HR's email came 5 minutes later, effective immediately. "You'll continue your duties remotely. Please coordinate with Lydia for deliverables." No warning, no explanation. Just a polite shove into digital exile. I sat staring at the message for a full minute. Remote work had been my idea 2 years ago, to give employees flexibility, reduce office politics, focus on output. I'd built the security infrastructure that made it possible. Now that system was being used to isolate me. They'd weaponized my own creation. I logged into the VPN. Half my logs were gone. 3 project repositories, gone. Incident reports. I'd written myself, deleted. When I pulled audit trails, the deletions pointed to one user, R. Adams. Rick, he was building a narrative. Lazy remote manager. Missed deadlines. Poor communication. A neat little file he could hand HR once Lydia was ready. The rage was sharp but clean. Like ice. I opened a private terminal and synced my encrypted local backups. Everything I'd ever done, every fix, patch, incident record, copied to an offline drive I'd started keeping 5 years ago. I called it Vault Zero. Jordan messaged me again that night. "Rick's been forwarding your emails to himself. Rewording your answers as his. Be careful." I typed one word back. Logged. The next week was a blur of polite sabotage. Lydia forgot to CC me on client threads. My access to project dashboards was under review. And then came the HR check-in, Heather from HR, all calm smiles. "We just want to make sure you're adjusting well," she said over Zoom. "Adjusting to being erased?" I asked. She smiled tighter. "Rachel, there have been concerns about responsiveness. You seem disengaged. Which hours? Which tickets?" Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes flicked left, reading a script. "We don't need specifics right this moment." "Then you don't need me." She blinked, thrown. The meeting ended cordially. That's the thing about HR. They kill you with manners. That night, at 12:03 a.m., an encrypted zip appeared in my inbox. No subject. Log backup 2025-02-14.zip. Sender, Kevin, an old friend in IT. "Can't say much," his note read, "but someone's been altering your time logs." I made a private copy. Inside, evidence. Rick deleting my hours. Rick fabricating idle sessions. Rick rewriting data. It was elegant, almost beautiful. A perfect frame job. Time-stamped to look accidental, almost. He didn't know I'd built the logging system myself, and I'd hidden redundancy in a place no one looked. In the system's health monitor. A process that auto-synced backups to a secure node every night at midnight. He thought he'd buried the truth. I'd just been archiving it. Friday morning. Performance review. Mandatory attendance. 8 boxes on screen. Rick. HR, legal, Lydia, and me. "Rachel," Rick began, "we've noticed inconsistencies in your deliverables." "Funny," I interrupted. "You said that last week," he blinked. "We're trying to help you succeed." "You mean document my failure?" Heather jumped in. "Let's keep this professional," I smiled. "Absolutely." Then I hit share screen. I opened the PDF Kevin had helped me compile. System logs. Deletion traces, Rick's admin credentials, timestamps at 2:12 a.m., user, R. Adams. Action, delete, time blocks, R. Pierce. Silence. The kind that makes rooms feel smaller. "Where did you get that?" Rick demanded. "From the system I built," I said. "You forgot, I see everything." I walked them through the evidence, calm, precise, unflinching. Heather looked at legal. Legal looked at Rick. Rick's camera flickered off. When the meeting ended, HR promised an internal review. By noon, my company email was locked out. At 12:30, another email arrived on my personal account from Voltrix Corporation. Subject, contract transition notice. Effective immediately. Corvex Analytics will no longer manage our data security. We've chosen to retain Ms. Rachel Pierce independently. I stared at it. Then I laughed, softly. Honestly, Rick had fired the only person the client trusted, and now, that client was mine. That night, I registered my business, Clearline Security LLC. Tagline, data never lies. People do. I brewed tea, opened a fresh spreadsheet, and began outlining my next phase. Documentation, legal counsel, silent execution. Revenge wasn't about rage. It was about record-keeping. For the first time in 8 years, I slept a full night. No on-call pager, no Slack notifications, no adrenaline-fueled, just one more fix. Just silence, heavy and deliberate. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was my cactus on the windowsill, tiny and absurdly alive. It had survived months of fluorescent lighting, stale air, and neglect. Now in the soft morning light, it was growing again. So was I. I called Ezra Chen, an old college friend, now an employment lawyer. He listened quietly as I told him everything. When I finished, there was a pause. "Do not sign anything," he said finally. "Do not reply to HR and back up every file you still have. You're holding more leverage than you realize." "I'm not looking for revenge," I said. "Good," he replied. "Because that's how you get justice. By noon." We had a plan. Send no communication. Unless required by law. Keep all correspondence. Professional and traceable document. Every outreach attempt from Corvex register Clearline as an independent consultancy, ASAP. That afternoon, I bought a second laptop, created new encrypted drives, and drafted a one-page website. White background. Black text, Clearline security. We keep your systems honest. It wasn't marketing. It was a statement of fact. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. Jordan. Rick told finance you violated NDAs. Me. Which one? Jordan. The one he wrote himself. I almost smiled. Corporate liars always forget that NDAs don't apply retroactively. I checked my email again. New message. From Calvin Hartman. COO, Voltrix Corp. Rachel. I heard what happened. We'd still like you to oversee our data migration. Our lawyers reviewed the non-compete. Unenforceable. Let's talk Monday. I set the phone down and looked at the cactus. You see that? I said to it. That's what sunlight looks like. Monday came. We met at a quiet cafe downtown. Calvin was direct. Ex-military. No nonsense. Rick told us you left voluntarily, he said. I imagine he did. And that you'd taken proprietary data. He's consistent, if nothing else. Calvin smiled faintly. You built the system that protects our financial infrastructure. We trust you. Name your terms. I didn't hesitate. Independent consultant. 6-month contract. Flat rate $10,000 a month. He extended his hand. Done. That's the thing about being underestimated. You can negotiate from below while they think you're still falling. By Friday, I'd filed Clearline's first invoice and had an official contract in hand. The same day, Jordan texted, update, Rick's freaking out. Board wants to know why Voltrix left. HR panicking. Lydia crying. Me. Logs everything. Jordan. Already doing it. For the first time, my system was working for me, and not for them. 2 weeks later, an email from Corvex's board arrived. Subject, invitation to discuss vendor transition, Ms. Pierce. We'd like to meet regarding continuity, with Voltrix and possible collaboration with your firm. Stared at the words. The same company that had shoved me out was now asking for help. I accepted. The meeting was set for Wednesday, 10 a.m. Executive floor. The same floor where Rick had once refused to let me sit during presentations because optics mattered. This time, the optics would be mine. I wore a charcoal gray suit, sharp, understated, not angry, a calm storm. When the elevator doors opened, Rick was already outside the boardroom, pretending to scroll his phone. Rachel, he said, all professional warmth. Glad you could make it. The board just wants clarity. Nothing personal, of course, I said. I like clarity. Inside, 9 executives waited, including Laura Jensen, interim board chair, who looks like she'd survived too many political wars to tolerate another. Ms. Pierce, she began. Thank you for joining us. We've had some unexpected turbulence since your departure. I didn't sit. I stood at the end of the table and opened a small binder. I'm aware, I said. Would you like me to explain why? A ripple of discomfort passed through the room. Rick laughed lightly. Rachel, we're not here to assign blame. I am, I said. Then I placed the evidence on the table. System logs, emails, timestamps, every falsified deletion, every fabricated performance metric, every error Rick had planted. Laura's expression didn't change, but her pen stopped moving. Mr. Adams, she said after a long pause, you'll wait outside. He blinked. Excuse me? Now. He left, red-faced and silent. The rest of the meeting lasted an hour. When I walked out, I had a signed consulting agreement, Clearline Security retained to oversee all Corvex audit and recovery operations. $350 hour in corporate terms. That's what victory looks like. Your enemy pays you to clean up the mess they made. Within 3 weeks, I was back in the Corvex building as an outside contractor. Different badge. Same floors, except now when I walked past security, they said, Welcome back, Ms. Pierce. Jordan met me in the lobby. holding 2 coffees. You look terrifyingly calm. He said, "It's part of the therapy. Our first meeting as consultants was with what was left of my old team. Half the department had quit. Lydia was there, sitting small, pale, hands fidgeting under the table. "Hi, Rachel," she murmured. "Hi, Lydia." Her voice shook. I didn't know what he was doing, I swear. He said it was standard. I believed her. I'd been that naive once. "You want to make it right?" I asked. She nodded. "Good. You're on my team now." The first project was chaos. Deadlines missed. Systems half configured. Clients calling hourly. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I rebuilt the architecture piece by piece. Same code. New rules. Every change required 2 signatures. Every log was immutable. Every meeting was recorded and archived. I called it the integrity map. By week 4, performance metrics had stabilized. By week 6, client satisfaction rose 31% even, the board noticed. Laura invited me for coffee in the executive lounge, a glass room overlooking the city. "You realize you're running the place," she said. "I'm just fixing what's broken." "Sometimes that's the same thing," she looked at me carefully. "We're creating a new position, Chief Integrity Officer. The board wants you to take it." I hesitated. "And Rick?" "Suspended pending investigation." I took a sip of coffee. Good start. But revenge wasn't complete yet, not until truth had witnesses. I insisted the next annual audit be public, streamed to every department. If I was going to rebuild this company, I wanted everyone to see how lies collapse under light. The auditorium was packed. Every floor had gathered. Every camera connected. Even clients had been invited to watch the annual compliance audit, a transparency gesture ordered by the board. On the main screen, the Corvex logo, bright against white. Below it, the words, "Integrity Audit, Live Session." My name was on the agenda as lead consultant, Clearline Security. Rick was listed as advisor. That word tasted like irony. When I took the stage, the microphone felt weightless in my hand. 8 years in that company, and this was the first time anyone had handed me one. "Good morning," I said. "Let's review how truth behaves when it's logged properly." A few nervous laughs. I pulled up the first slide. Metrics that told the story no speech could. Client retention, plus 24% error rate, 68%. Incident resolution time, down from 19 hours to 6. And then came the slide labeled root cause of prior failures. The screen filled with data logs, the ones Rick had doctored, rows of timestamps. Deleted entries. His admin ID. "Integrity isn't about being flawless," I said. "It's about whether your system corrects itself when someone tries to rewrite the record." Rick shifted in his seat. The lead auditor, a woman named Clara, leaned forward. "Ms. Pierce, are these verified server logs?" "Yes," I said, "and replicated in 3 independent backups." Her gaze cut to Rick. "Mr. Adams, do you dispute these records?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Everyone could see it. The twitch, the silent calculation. Of course she'd say that. He tried finally. "She's the one who," Clara interrupted. "Do you have counter evidence?" He hesitated. "No, but..." "Then we're done," she said, turning to the board. Non-compliance originated at management level. Ms. Pierce's structure corrected it. Audit rating, A+. Applause started at the back and moved forward like a wave breaking through years of silence. Laura stood. "Effective immediately," she said into her mic. "Mr. Adams is terminated with cause." "Corvex's board recognizes Ms. Pierce for restoring full transparency." Rick looked at me, a mix of fury and disbelief. "You planned this," I met his gaze. "No," I said quietly. "You did." He left the room, swallowed by the very silence he'd once controlled. Over the next 3 months, I rewrote every policy from scratch. We replaced hierarchy with accountability, secrecy with audit trails. Every employee had access to what affected them. Jordan's team called it the Pierce Protocol. Laura preferred integrity infrastructure. I didn't care what they named it. I just wanted it to work. Lydia approached me one afternoon holding a flash drive. "I found this in Rick's office," she said. "His private logs. It shows he was hiding client payments." I took it, nodded. "Thank you," she hesitated. "Do I still have a place here?" "Yes," I said. "As long as you keep telling the truth." She exhaled like someone who'd been holding her breath since her first day. When the quarter ended, our results spoke louder than any meeting ever could. Client satisfaction hit 97%. Revenue grew 14%. Employee turnover dropped by half. At the celebration, Laura gave me a glass plaque etched with the words, "Integrity Restored, 2025. For proving that transparency is stronger than control. I didn't expect it to make me emotional. But it did, not for what I'd won, but for what I'd built out of what tried to destroy me. Clean ending. Justice, not vengeance. 6 months later, I stood in my new office. Glass walls. Open sky, no shadows left to hide in. My nameplate read, Rachel Pierce, Chief Integrity Officer. Below it sat a small cactus in a white ceramic pot, the same one I'd carried home the day they exiled me. It had bloomed, a single pale flower opening against the glass. I smiled. Sometimes survival doesn't roar. Sometimes it photosynthesizes. My phone buzzed, a message from Jordan. Voltrix just renewed for 3 years. Board-approved expansion of your framework company-wide. Congrats, boss. I typed back, tell the team the system works. That evening, I visited my mother. She was at her sewing machine, needle glinting in the lamplight. Did they finally give you that corner office? She asked, not looking up. They gave me a transparent one, I said. She smiled. Good. Corners collect dust. Then she handed me a note written in her looping cursive. You can forgive people without letting them back in, but always leave a window open for light. I tucked it into my wallet, next to my old ID badge, the one that no longer worked. Later that night, I opened my laptop one last time. File name, final log, the work-from-home trap. I wrote, Lesson 1. Distance doesn't destroy integrity. It reveals it. Lesson 2. Revenge doesn't require rage. It requires precision. Lesson 3. Systems don't collapse because of bad people. They collapse because good people stay silent. I saved it. Closed the lid and turned off the light. Outside, the city glowed like a circuit, endless, imperfect, alive. The next morning, I arrived early. In the lobby, I saw something new. Every floor had a cactus now. Small, green, resilient. The receptionist smiled. Corporate sent them out yesterday. They're calling it the Integrity Initiative. Of course they were. I glanced at the wall behind her. A plaque hung there, gleaming in the morning light. Integrity Restored, 2025. For leadership that rebuilt trust from truth. I didn't need my name on it. The work was enough. As I rode the elevator up, sunlight fractured through the glass and spilled across the silver edge of my laptop. Clean light. Real light. When I sat down at my desk, I opened a new document titled Next Project, Phase 2, because revenge, when done right, doesn't end with someone's fall. It ends when you start building something that lasts. If you've ever been told to work from home, when what they really meant was disappear, remember this. Sometimes distance isn't punishment. It's perspective. Sometimes silence is the loudest rebuttal, and sometimes the best revenge. Is living so transparently that lies simply stop working around you. If this story spoke to you, if you've ever been the quiet one who kept things running while others took the credit, hit like, share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more true, intelligent revenge stories on Office Revenge Files. Because here, we don't destroy offices, we audit them.